and directed by Matt Reeves, stars Robert Pattinson as Batman, also stars Zoe Kravitz, John Turturro, Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis, a whole plethora of characters. This has no connection to the DC Extended Universe Ben Affleck Batman. This has no connection to the Dark Knight trilogy. This has no connection to the Michael Keaton Batman movies of yesteryear. This is its own new standalone Batman story. We're doing another Batman reboot yet again here. In his second year of crime fighting, Batman uncovers corruption in Gotham City that connects to his own family while facing a serial killer known as the Riddler. Just so you guys know, this is going to be a spoiler-free review of the Batman. I will have a spoiler-filled review coming very soon after I go and see the movie again. Either some point this weekend I will have that review up, or at some point early next week I will have that up. And I will talk in depth about the Batman. But for now, let's talk about my spoiler-free thoughts on the Batman. Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. It's not a perfect Batman movie. I have one issue with this movie. I don't think it quite stands toe-to-toe with Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, but it's a damn good movie for sure, and a damn great Batman movie. One of the best Batman movies I have ever seen. If you are somebody who has doubted Robert Pattinson for your entire life after you saw him in Twilight, because even that man hates Twilight, cry me a river. I'd like to see you go put on a cape and cowl, dress up as a bat, go out and fight crime in the middle of the night. Go do it. Robert Pattinson did it, and he kicked ass, man. I have a couple of nitpicks with his portrayal of Bruce Wayne. It's really the way I feel about Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, where I think Michael Keaton was a great Batman, but not so great Bruce Wayne. It really comes down to how Bruce Wayne is written. Same thing here with Robert Pattinson, but I'm giving that the benefit of a doubt. That's a nitpick for me with this movie. I usually tend to overlook nitpicks and don't really consider them major issues of the movie. And a lot of that is because we are getting 2 more movies that are going to follow this. This is the start of a new trilogy. So maybe they will delve a bit more into Bruce Wayne's psychological state. When he is Bruce Wayne in the movie, he is very silent and subdued. He's looking very intently at people. And he doesn't really say much as Bruce Wayne. When he is Batman, though, he is fucking awesome. Fast, lean, brooding, dark, but in full detective mode, determined to solve this mystery, take down the Riddler, and stop all these killings that are occurring in Gotham City. The Gotham City Police Department doesn't even really trust him all that much, but he has the trust of Gordon, played by my boy Felix Leiter, Jeffrey Wright, great Gordon. So sorry if I'm so energetic in this review. I wasn't really sure what to expect from this Batman movie. I was like, you know what? I could walk out of this thing hating it, or I could walk out of this thing loving it. Because I did! Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is really great. She's got great chemistry with Robert Pattinson. I wouldn't say that she's the best Catwoman. I still think Michelle Pfeiffer is just way too iconic. You can't top Michelle Pfeiffer. That's just a hill somebody will not be willing to climb. But Zoe Kravitz gives Anne Hathaway a run for her money. She's way better than Halle Berry. I love the banter between her and Batman. I thought it was great. It added a little bit of levity to a brooding, dark portrayal of the Caped Crusader that this movie did call for. It went there. It reminded me, and I could tell that it was influenced and inspired by a lot of those really darker Batman graphic novels, and even some of the darker animated Batman movies like Year One, The Long Halloween, Batman Ego. It has all of that in there while also paying homage to David Fincher as well. This is like the closest David Fincher will ever get to directing a Batman movie without directing a Batman movie. I could see the influences of Seven. I could see the influences of Zodiac. 2 David Fincher movies. I think it was all handled really well by Matt Reeves. Let's talk about Matt Reeves for a minute. This man is a self-obsessed Batman fan. I've loved his 2 Planet of the Apes movies that he did, Dawn and War. He was able to show that he could handle a blockbuster franchise like Batman when he did those Planet of the Apes movies. So I knew Batman was probably going to be in safe hands with Matt Reeves, but this man, he has just a great eye for the camera. There are so many great shots in this movie. There's one shot, it's a clip that's been released, of Batman just running down a hallway and the camera just swoops to the right. I feel like no other Batman director would have thought of that, or the funeral scene that has been released online. Somebody would have showed that car hurtling towards that truck from a million different angles outside. He's like, nope, I'm just gonna leave it up to the audience's imagination as to what is happening with that truck. You can hear it faintly in the background, and now it comes crashing through. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Wow! Holy shit. Okay, 3 things regarding Colin Farrell's Penguin. That did not look like Colin Farrell. That did not sound like Colin Farrell. 3, was that even Colin Farrell? Yeah, that was Colin Farrell. But man, that prosthetic makeup was phenomenal. And Colin Farrell is great as Oswald Cobblepot. I think he's actually my favorite version of the Penguin. He's not going around being like, I'm gonna eat some fish and I want you to round up all the firstborns of Gotham City, like Danny DeVito did. This man meant business. I like that how he was inspired by the Oswald Cobblepot and Penguin from the Batman animated TV show. Really nice touch there. Gotham City itself became a character for the first time since Batman Begins. Batman Begins was like, yeah, we're going to show the slummy, crummy, dirty, run-down, homeless part of Gotham City that you don't want to visit. Like, Gotham City in Batman Begins is not going to be the most desirable place to live. And then in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, it's like, oh, hey, look, Chicago! Gotham City just took on a different mind of its own in this movie. Something that I think is desperately needed in a Batman film. It definitely had inspiration from those Tim Burton Batman movies. Definitely had inspiration from Batman Begins. The look of Gotham City at times felt very Burton-esque, but it also felt very Gothic and Victorian-esque. Most of this movie takes place at night, where Batman is prowling around the streets of Gotham and the skyscrapers of Gotham and the buildings of Gotham, and made Gotham City feel a lot more vibrant and lived in than previous versions of Gotham. Gotham City just came to life in this movie for me. It was a character within itself. Michael Giacchino's score was fantastic. That Batman theme stands up there with Danny Elfman's Batman theme and James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer's Batman theme. Really, really great stuff. The musical score added a lot of emotion to many scenes and to Batman's psyche and psychological state. How Batman feels about his place in the world and his place in Gotham City. The score really captured all these different types of moods and emotions so well. It all felt very euphoric, while at the same time it felt very pensive and tragic, but uplifting as well. Strangely, so many different emotions wrapped into that score. What I love about this is that it's not as action-driven as previous Batman films. I would say The Dark Knight Rises was the most action-heavy of the Dark Knight trilogy. It reminded me more of The Dark Knight, but it took an even more somber, slower pace, but even then, it never felt like it was slow-paced. It was moving along at a good pace for a movie that was 176 minutes, and whew, man, honestly though, I did feel it. Towards the end, I felt it. I was like, all right, we're getting towards the end. Everything's wrapping up. The end goal has been accomplished, but oh shit, we got another 36 minutes to go. What else is there to do? Let's see what they got. Never once was I like, oh my god, this fucking scene just ended. Right away, this movie wrapped me in to this version of Batman, to this version of Gotham City, and it never let me go throughout its gargantuan runtime. Never lost interest in the story. Loved following along with the story and where the story would actually go. Loved that it felt like a neo-noir detective murder mystery story in the Batman world, because we haven't really seen Batman as a detective in the Batman world, and we got to see Batman be a detective in this movie. I thought it was a big payoff for those that have wanted to see Batman in full-blown detective mode in a live-action Batman film for the longest time. As stated, I have one issue with this movie, and that is the last 20 or so minutes. I feel as if the last 20 or so minutes somewhat betray that neo-noir feeling and mood that most of this movie is feeding us, and instead just traverses into superhero movie territory. It felt very comic booky towards the end. I don't want to say it betrayed the tone of what the first 2/3 to 3/4 of the movie were giving us. It was just something that I felt was an abrupt shift. What I was watching was still great. I just felt like it didn't need to take that route, the superhero movie territory, and I think it somewhat took the easy way out in the end to give us this big, giant, action-filled finale that maybe this movie didn't necessarily need. But everything else about this movie is fantastic. It's one of the best Batman films ever made. I really hope you go check it out this weekend. It's going to make a shit-tillion dollars. I can't wait to see the next 2 chapters of this trilogy. I think it's going to be a golden era of Batman stories again. I really hope it is. I don't think anything's ever going to top the Dark Knight trilogy, but hey, we live in a weird world now. It may come to that point in my lifetime where I actually think something is better than The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises or Batman Begins. This movie, no, I think those 3 movies are better. That doesn't take away the fact that I still really, really love this Batman movie, this version of Batman, and it's proof that you can like so many different versions of Batman. Still way better than BVS, though. Don't even get me started on that shit. I really, really enjoyed The Batman with a full bucket of popcorn. So guys, have you seen The Batman? If you have, drop me some feedback as to what you thought of The Batman in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.